Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 12th online webinar. We're going to start in a few minutes. So that's exactly the time to grab yourself a cup of coffee. And we'll meet back here in a few minutes to start. All right. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the 12th event in our special online meetup series hosted by the Web3 Devs Underground community. Before we dive in, let me briefly introduce our community. We're a community of Web3 developers and builders funded on open source values by Shauli Rejwan and Roy Yoshev. Since we started 3 years ago, we've consistently hosted in-person events, bringing together some of the brightest technical minds in the space. Recently, we've expanded to online meetups, and we're committed to delivering top-tier technical content to the global Web3 community. We're thrilled to have you all with us today. To stay in the loop for future events and updates, please make sure to join us on all platforms: X, Luma, Meetup, YouTube, Telegram, and more, all available on our website at web3devs.org. A special thanks to our community sponsor, Masterkey VC, an early-stage venture capital firm focused on infrastructure and deep tech across the Web3 ecosystem. With a team of 16 world-class cryptographers and several technical experts, led by managing partner Shauli Rejwan, Masterkey operates across all major global crypto hubs. And now, without further ado, I'm honored to pass the mic to Mohammad Shahbaz Alam, Senior Developer Relations at MetaMask. So Shahbaz, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Eden. Thanks for inviting to this wonderful webinar series that you guys are doing. Can't wait to share more what's in it for today's session. Okay, so let's get started with this. Let me know, Eden, that you guys see this. So this session is intro to Web3, and people have given a lot of things before on what is Web3, but my take is in this session that what we'll be doing is mainly giving more hands-on experience on what is Web3, how to get started, and what are a couple of new terms and jargons that people know. I'm also aware that you guys had a very interesting session, the previous session on 7702, which briefly I'll also touch, but I will try to give 7702 from a different angle and see what is smart accords. So without any delay, let me start the intro to Web3. So today's agenda is basically about these 6-7 topics and a lot of areas where you can ask your questions. If you have any queries about this session, you can ask. If you have anything about Web3, you can also ask. So it's a QA plus AMA session as well. So in this session, we'll also cover what is Web3, what is EOA, what the heck is EOA, and then why smart accounts, what is smart accounts, how to convert smart accounts. I won't touch more in the the EIP specs because the previous speaker has already touched this in brief, in detail about what is Sense102 and his understanding, and basically, and there are a lot of resources that you can read about. But my goal for this is more on how you would get onboarded very quickly through the MetaMask SDK, and what are other ways that you can onboard a user to Web3. What is wallet and how to connect with a wallet? What are the basic interactions a developer would expect for their dApp? And at last, we'll also see a deep dive example on how to upgrade your EOA to smart accounts. GM, my name is Shahbaz, as Aiden already covered most of it. I'm senior DevRel here at MetaMask Consensys. I go with this handle MDSBZ Alam across the social media platform. If you have any queries about this session or anything in general about Web3, feel free to tag me on especially LinkedIn and X. So what is Web3, right? Before understanding Web3, there is a need. There is a need to understand the before picture of Web3, right? What has happened before Web3? Centralization is the bigger thing, like what you have as of today, which is you are not owning your data, right? most of the centralized authorities control the web, basically, and it is on their hand. All of the powers lies on the centralized servers, and these centralized companies determine what content and action you are permitted to do online. And it is not exactly what the internet was founded upon. And we'll also see how that evolved as well. And in Web3, Web3 emerges as a response to all this imbalance of not having the control of your own data. It promotes something called decentralization, which shifts the ownership and control from corporations and big giants who hold your data in a centralized servers to users. And Web3 empowers individual to build, operate, and own the web collectively. And that is what we are here for, to build the better internet, a better decentralized internet. So let me give you a brief of what has happened before Web3. So people may not know very in I think 1989, Tim Berners-Lee, the founder of World Wide Web, has started something with this, which was the read-only state of the internet, where where big companies would basically put a website. Think of more like a blog where they can just consume data. There was minimal interactions or to none to interact with these websites. And hence this is also known as the read-only era or read-only internet. A quick fun fact, a quick question as well: that do you guys know which was the first browser? If Eden is here, I would love to know. Like, if Eden also know which was the first browser after the internet era or the World Wide Web has happened. I would love to see that in the chats, or if not, I'll also answer it at later stage as well. Which was the first browser that you
I
have
see one
interacted?
answer is
Mm-hmm.
Mosaic.
Oh, perfectly. I was not expecting
Yeah,
this. Nice.
I
Um,
see. Well,
so
we're very understanding people here.
exactly. Love that. Love that. So Mosaic was the first browser, and which later became the Mozilla Firefox, which what people know as of today. Um, and yeah, so that was the browser around this era. And then, like, after the read only state, there was read and write state, which happened around 2004 onwards, where mainly this is mainly the era where the boom of social media happened, where not only you can read the data but also interact with it. You can reply, interact, give reactions. This is where you would, as per the diagram also says, there are multiple computers interacting with the servers. In the previous one, you would just see that it's a read state, and in here it's more of read and write, which is again through a centralized server. Then comes the Web3 era, where you not just had to read and write from a server, but you would also own. So the basic difference from the Web2 and Web3 is that there is no centralized server here. Your computer, your nodes will interact each one another, a peer-to-peer network, and that is where the Web3 evolved. I think as soon as around Ethereum was launched, Gavin Wood, the Ethereum co-founder, coined this term as Web3, and from there on, people have started reading it. And all this very great analysis is already there in the Ethereum/Web3 website, where you can learn more about these in detail. So, what is Web3? Again, I'll just try to summarize that it represents the vision of a new, improved internet built around user ownerships and decentralization. It leverages something called blockchain, and there are like cryptocurrencies. People are every day. If you open X, you'll see a bunch of things happening on cryptocurrencies, things going up and down, and that's what also is part of the Web3. And there's something called NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which you again own, and all this leverages to give you control of the value, give you the control of whatever you own. And as an evolution, it has started from Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. And trust me, I would not bore much about this, but this is already out there. I'm just trying to just give a context so that we can go in detail about this. The core principle of Web3 again lies in decentralization, permissionless. It has its own native payments. Like if you talk about Ethereum, it's Ethers. If you talk about Solana, it's Sol. Bitcoin has the Bitcoin, And the thing is, it's trustless. So this is the core principle of Web3, where you own and control the distributed data among users and builders, and not through corporations. As you could see in the previous diagram, there was no centralized server to host or own your data. You are the one who owns the data through blockchain. So there are a couple more slides, and then I'll go in detail and probably pause for a couple of questions. If not, and then we'll go in detail. So what is EOA? Because yes, Web3 is amazing, fantastic in terms of giving centralization, decentralizations, giving it's permissionless, trustless, right, and it has its own currency, which lets you do a lot of transfers, borderless transfers, right? It's not just limited to the transactions that you do through your bank accounts, right? So how this is powered by, and how someone would onboard themselves to Web3. So the easiest way would be through something called wallet. And to understand wallet, we understand more of like accounts. So there is something called externally owned accounts. These are the most common types of Ethereum accounts, which are controlled by you or any person who has a private key or recovery phrase. So private key, just consider more of like a password in a very hexadecimal format, and recovery phrases are similar, like a couple of words jumbled upon, and it goes from 12 words to 24 words, and so on and so forth. So these are again, there are a lot of cryptographic things happening behind the scene to get you a public address. I'll give more links and where you should read more about these. But think of EOAs is more of like an account which lets you interact with Web3 or blockchain in general. And how do you control it? You control it through a private key and recovery phrase. So then we also, in the agenda, if you've seen that, we also talked about something called smart accounts. So before understanding smart accounts, we understand about what is smart contracts or contract accounts. That's why there are, like, as I was saying, there were two types of accounts on blockchain. One is externally owned accounts. The other one is contract accounts. So EOAs, as you know, it's controlled by anyone with a private key, and smart account, which makes things very exciting for blockchain developers. Here, the smart accounts is basically a code. When you see any smart account, you will see a bunch of classes, functions, and what you could do with that code. But the beauty of that is that code is deployed to a network, deployed to a blockchain, and it has its own address. So whenever you need to interact with that code, you basically fetch it from that address and then interact it with that. And we'll also see like how it's done. We'll see it from the transactions as well. So yeah, so what are smart contracts? As I already said, the smart contract is simply a program that runs on Ethereum blockchain. I just kept an example for Ethereum just for simplicity, but this applies to other blockchains as well. It is a collection of code, like functions and data, states that resides at a specific address on the Ethereum blockchain. And Ethereum, the EOS will also have an address, and your smart contract also has an address to interact with. So without going much into the slide does not have much now from here on. It's just the titles like Intro to MetaMask SDK, how do we connect EOA wallet, and then basic dApp interactions and upgrade to smart accounts. So let's see how, as a developer, how would you go about all this? Because just don't want to go through the slides and does not give you the visual impression on how one should do. So most of the things what I was talking about, what is Web3, is already available here at ethereum.org/Web3. Feel free to read about this, and especially the further reading sections if you read about that. So there are other individuals who have given a stab on what is Web3 and try to explain this in their format. Hopefully you will learn more from here, but this also covers a very basic of what is Web3. Then I think in the chat as well, in the Telegram chat that we have, I have given a link to a list of wallets, right? I also has given a link that like how would you interact. So I will demonstrate most of my examples through MetaMask, but feel free to choose any wallet which is present in this section of the Ethereum website. Okay. And then I'll pause for a bit before I go much deeper into the code, and then we'll see if anyone has any questions from the audience. Aiden, if you're here.
Yes, of course, I'm here. Still, I can't see any questions in the audience, but it's a good place to say that if you guys have any questions, please feel free to write them down in the comments below, and then I'll see them and let you know when I can put you on stage to ask the questions.
Yeah, perfect. Because I want this session to be very interactive and not just me giving a presentation and at last we ask questions. We do have a dedicated time to ask any questions, but if you have anything, feel free to ask it. So let's jump into also the other section of Introduction to Smart Accounts. A very good read. Again, further reading. A lot of folks have done great explanation of Coinbase, Chainlink, and even the previous talk has explained a bit of smart contracts and the sensor node 2 approach. So the next section is how do we get started, right? And I work for MetaMask, and I don't just want to promote this is the only way you do. But what I'm saying is that, okay, our SDK basically has much other advantage than probably others. We'll see why I say that. Because this SDK is very cross-platform, it's cross-browser support, it has best of the best mobile connection experience. You don't have to worry about opening in-app browsers if you've seen that. I would try to host a live demo that we are doing and try to see if I can connect it with my MetaMask mobile and show you the experience as well in that section. And it is multi-chain ready by design, right? It has support for EVM and Solana, and Bitcoin is also coming down the line. So how do we get started with this? So the easiest section is to get started with the SDK through any of these examples. I will stick with JavaScript just to explain what is happening behind the scene. And then we'll also see through the code as well. So this section of the doc, if I would probably put it in the slides as well later so that we can share it with you guys. It has an example which lets you just clone that section of this particular huge repo like MetaMask JavaScript and get you started very quickly. But just see like what's happening behind the scene and also show you through the editor as well. You install it through MetaMask SDK, then import it, do the basic initialization, put the parameters like dApp metadata and inferior API keys. And this explains most in detail. And then the thing is that you just need like couple line of codes, nothing more, right? You just install the SDK and through MetaMask SDK.connect, you'll be able to connect. And if you want to see like how exactly this works, we also at the bottom we have a live example which is powered by StackBlitz, thanks to their wonderful platform that lets you run the example right here. It has its terminal. It also has a lot of way to interact and even code right here. And within probably, I think it took roughly 10 to 15 seconds, and you would be able to, connect, disconnect. So as you can see, you would be able to connect the SDK, and you would have the account. This is my account address. But let's see how we go about this, right? So the first section of the walkthrough is how do we get started with the MetaMask SDK, and then the second section we talk about something called WAGMI and how do we get started on WAGMI, how to have MetaMask on WAGMI, and we'll cover the EOA to smart accounts upgrade. So I already have this example built, but let me give a very rundown of what's happening here. So this is a React Vite example. It has very basic updates from the initial boilerplate that you would have. But as you can see, the app is exactly app.tsx is exactly what you get from the boilerplate from React Vite. Most of the files remain same except the package JSON. If you see, the package JSON has the MetaMask SDK installed for and nothing much happening here, right? Apart from the basic install. So how do we go about? And I think this we have it on our quick start pages as well. Like if you go to docs.metamask.io and /quick start, you will see these quick starts there, and this has very good interactivity there as well. This includes most of the the comments as well. Like, so this is MetaMask input, as I was saying. Also, because of the TypeScript, you get support for all the SDK provider types. So what you do is basically this part. Like as a React developer who wants to integrate MetaMask SDK, they just install the MetaMask SDK, npm-i, and MetaMask SDK. Next thing, what they do is just import the MetaMask SDK, and after that you initialize the MetaMask SDK. So there are a couple of things happening here. Even if you don't pass the inferior key for now, this would work, but ideally for the production apps, you would want the inferior API key. Go to infura.org and probably get a key from there. And then the dApp metadata has most of the details of your dApp and nothing more. Like you can skip the dApp metadata, it still works. It takes the basics of what you already have. The next step, first install, import, initialize, and the thing is this. And there are a lot of things happening, like just to have the use effects so that how it works, and this connects, right? And the next thing is also the terminate. Let's see how this works. So I have running this example. Okay, let's see. So this is basically basic things that I did. This has connect button, nothing more. When you do connect, since I'm already connected, it said maybe in the documentation website we are already connected. That's why it got connected very easily. But in the next time when you see, it gives you an option to connect. Okay, now we got connected. And behind the scene, if you see, what's happening is that we also fetch for the address, right? We fetch the address on the request of connect. So as soon as we connect, we fetch the address from the provider. We set the account, and then we set the account here. So connect will give you an account, and through the accounts you basically set the account. So we have this, right? What else we can do? Okay, so this is how do you integrate the SDK? How do you connect it? So that's part that covers that part, right? Then there are things if you have seen, and I'm pretty sure that Web3 devs have given a lot of other talks, and you guys are also aware of what the wallet is, how to have some funds here. As you can see, this has a couple of funds already, and how do we get the balance? So this example is using Sepolia testnet. So when I fetch the balance, it would give me the Sepolia balance and not the Ethereum and the mainnet balance. So we are good there. What else happening? So in this slide, we talked about, okay, so there are things that we connect and then disconnect, which is already powered. We have the balance. What else we have? So what you can do is you have the option to sign a message. So I think I've already covered written it for you guys. It lets you connect and sign the message. So what's happening, I'm checking for the account. If there is no account and there is no provider, we return. If not, we'll connect and sign with the message, sign into the dApp. Very basics, nothing crazy happening. Let me start. We also have connect and sign. When you do, you get this pop-up, and if you see, it is saying sign into the dApp. So one thing, if you have seen, probably from other wallets, I'm not sure, but they have this option. If I'm connected to Ethereum mainnet here, and I'm able to fetch the Sepolia ETH without the wallet saying that, oh, switch to a different chain. Previous experience of this wallet was you would basically switch one chain where you would want to interact, and then you could fetch it. And while we were connecting, if you have seen, we also see that oh, while connecting, we get access to all the connected or all the live accounts, which is already there. We get connected, and based on the code, because in the code what we did is we already specified how do we want to work with MetaMask. So we have not specified in terms of like what chain we are working, but it just gives you the balance of that chain whatever is connected to. But with Wagmi we'll see more updates. um, Okay, and what else we can do? We can do something called batch request. So it's not batch transaction, which we'll see it in a later section of the code, but this is called batch request. And for this to happen, I'll just uncomment this and run this part. All this code, I'll share it. It's already live on the GitHub repo, and we'll share it with you guys so that you can also try it. So let me explain what's happening. Again, similar standards like checking for the accounts, checking for the provider. If it's not there, we return. Then there's something called, if you have seen the provider request, you can request with the provider, and there's this method called MetaMask batch. And in the batch, you can pass multiple requests at the same time. What is happening here is that it's requesting for the accounts, it's requesting for the balance, and it's also requesting for the chain ID. And basically I'm not returning it to the on the DOM, but I'm just returning on the console. So let me open this console real quick here, and as you can see I've already console a couple of things here, but let's see. We do the batch request. It it just fetched the address, then the balance I have, and the ID. So it's connected to Ethereum mainnet. One you could do is you can explicitly force the dApp to switch to a different chain, which we'll see it through Wagmi when we'll implement that functionality. But in here, like if you don't see the Sepolia testnet, you just go to the custom and just select the Sepolia ETH, and you basically get connected to that. And once you have, you get connected to the Sepolia ETH. So this is that on how do you interact with sign message, batch request, as well as connect and disconnect.
Shahbaz,
Okay.
I think it would be a good place to pause for a second for a question from the other audience.
Yeah.
So, question from Sayden Wage. I'm working with WebAuth passkey and have seen EIP 7702 or 7703 related code and thought this to be a great thing to for onboarding no coiners. Has that approach has any disadvantages later on?
Sorry, maybe I'll come back. I'll stop the sharing so that I can look at the code questions somewhere in written. Can you show me where we have the question? Can someone put in the chat? I hear that it's something to do with Web3 passkeys. I'm not sure which provider you're using, and then the entirety of the questions. If somebody can paste it in the chat, that would be helpful for me.
Yes. Just let me know when you can see the question.
Okay, nice. Related code, and thought this would be a great thing for. When you say no coiners, it's mainly what you're saying is for somebody who would not who are not deep into the tech and understand Web3 much or crypto. I would rather have like a yes, because again would not have just solely depend on passkeys. It could be another factor which I think in the previous call, if you have seen the 7702, I think that speaker was from Fireblocks, and they do something called MPC. So just going out of topics, MPC is more of like you do the multi-party computation of your shares, and one of the shares could be passkey and the other shares remains with you through maybe social login. The other could be from passkeys, the passkeys. The third one could be through the seed phrases and the passwords. So I don't see just using passkeys. I think there were attempts that people used passkeys, but it had its own disadvantage that it's not like it's connected. It's just with it stays with the browser, and you can take it to I think Google, and you can take it to our Apple Touch ID. But again, you lose that aspect of decentralization that there is saying that. Because since you store it there on someone as a server, which how do I say, when you store that passkeys to use a Google browsers or Apple IDs, then it gets saved to and broadcasted to various places so that you can use it. And without this, at least this has some usage, which makes passkeys very easy, especially for even for Web3. But without this, I would say that it's just sitting in the browser, and if you lose access to that, you will lose access to your account, because in Web3 everything is about your access. Like, how do you not lose the access? So I don't see just using passkey would be a good approach, but if you can have something with multiple factors, that could be a good approach to look into this. Okay. So let me share my screen again, and then we'll go back. But I think I'll still pause for any questions if you guys have about the MetaMask section of it. And if you want to read more into this, our documentation has everything. We also have the live examples, and you can play around. But I think mostly the basics are: how do you get connected to a wallet, and request for the accounts, request for the balance, how do you request for the signed transactions, signed messages. All thing is powered through that can be done through Ether.js, Web3.js, and even VM. So I with time I can go in those details as well, but I think my goal here is to give you a couple of websites and documents where you can read more in detail, and always reach out to me for any questions that you may have. And at the last, we'll share a link, QR code, which where points to our Builder Hub, where you can post your questions if you have. So pretty much this covers the MetaMask section. How do we interact? How do we go about that? And this was the example that we did. Was able to connect with the account, get the account, get the balance, and lot more things. I'm not sure if I can project my mobile, but I would like to show you the advantage of MetaMask SDK. So if you have your MetaMask mobile with you, I would highly encourage one website that I usually use, which is using MetaMask SDK to log in. So when you do Jumper or Exchange, previously this was powered by something called Wallet Connect. You would scan the QR and then connect it to the MetaMask. But here, when you connect with on your mobile device, go to this website, open in Safari or any other browser, and try to connect it with MetaMask. If you have the MetaMask mobile installed, you'll see a very seamless experience to connect to. Previously, if not, like probably, I think Uniswap. I think Uniswap has this website. You can see the difference. So, like, what I'm saying is that just with the this two experience, let me see if I can show my mobile phone to you. What I mean, app dot Uniswap. So, and basically that is letting MetaMask shine away from this, right? So when you do this, okay, so it's first of all it's slow, the connection, and sometimes you don't see that MetaMask pop up. But when you go for Jumper Exchange, when you try to connect, you will see something like this, which has MetaMask, and when you click on that, you just directly get connected to the MetaMask. So it would say something like this. and it has an option to connect and open the MetaMask, and there is no powered by the ugly. That's what we also documented here, like the ugly open in-app browser. That experience is not good. This is much seamless, and this is what the SDK basically guarantees, that you have better deep link support, uh, at least on the mobile browser. So you'll see great experience there. So enough of MetaMask SDK. Let's go deeper into the section where we say how do we on upgrade and externally own account to something called smart accounts, right? Because smart accounts, if you have seen previously and if you read about smart accounts, it has more capabilities that you can do, and we'll see what are those capabilities and how this works. So similar to this, I've also made this example beforehand, and this we also did a live stream previously, demonstrating the other SDK that we have, and this is part of that SDK. So let's see in action how this is happening, right? And then we'll walk through about the code and see in action. So let me see. So this is all powered by WalkMe, but we are using the connector MetaMask. So if your wallet does already have, there's something called a, let's see first. Okay, so what you do is you connect with MetaMask. It's a similar experience, but this is powered by WalkMe, and WalkMe is using MetaMask SDK behind the scene to help this seamless connection. Okay, so I got connected. When I do send batch transaction, you would see this straight away. But a lot of things are happening behind the scene, I guarantee you. But let's not see this because this account is already upgraded to smart account. So how do we see for another account? Like if you cancel, you just say, oh, you get canceled. So let me see if I can turn off from the settings the smart accounts. So you go to the settings, you go to advanced, and there's something called use smart accounts. I turn off, go back, and hopefully with this, this would show me I get connected, and it will show me to upgrade my account to something called smart accounts. Okay, so as you can see, let me know if this is not that visible, but feel free to try it out on your mobile, on your browser extension as well. I'll give it a link later on so that you guys can play with this live demo. So what it does is that it gives the faster transactions and lower fees, pays with any token. So if you are aware of Web3 transactions, if you are transacting on Ethereum mainnet, you would have to pay ethers as a gas fee. But what it does is that it lets you customize, and you can pay it with USDC. So this capability you cannot do with an EOA unless your account got upgraded to smart accounts. And the other thing is that you have the same accounts. So if you have seen the previous talk through 4773 or 7702, basically when you do that, you have another account which is associated with that EOA. EOA controls the smart accounts, but that smart account will have a different address. That was the 4337 approach, right? But here your same EOA is upgraded to smart accounts, and that's why you get the same account and same features. We'll see it in action how this looks like. So we'll say, okay, yes, use smart accounts, and the same execution is happening. We just confirm, and you get something called data ID. We'll see it in the code how we are doing it, and then we check for the status, and it does take a couple of time to go about this. So let's see in the code what's happening in this. So I think this is the quick start. So the similar this example is powered, this is built using Next.js. Again, this has this code, which when I'll share, has multiple branches to start with. The first branch will have like the main branch is basically the React Next.js boilerplate code. Then there is SDK, which is the initial state. What it has is that the basic configurations of WalkMe, but I'll show you how you can do that. So once you have Next.js example built up, you basically do a couple of customizations to your code, and then we see it in the providers, right? Yes. So most of the first thing what you do is you set up your app to work with WAGMI, and the easiest would, I would say, is to search for something called WAGMI Next.js example, right? Next.js example code, and I think in the WAGMI repo here, you will see a Next.js version of the same as well if you go here. So again, don't want to give a lot of time on this, but there is a way that you just get started with Next.js project on WAGMI, right? And on top of that, what are the things that we changed, uh, and how we are plugging in the MetaMask, right? So in WAGMI, there are multiple connectors. So out of that, we are using MetaMask. Again, MetaMask connector will take a couple of parameters. You can skip it as well, but Infura APIs and the dApp metadata similar to the MetaMask SDK. So this takes a lot of details similar to the SDK, and just you pass in the Infura API key, dApp metadata, all those things. And then you configure the WAGMI configurations, like the create config WAGMIs. And here you specify that okay, I just want to work with Sepolia and nothing more. And the same thing, this is how you specify the Sepolia and the Sepolia details, right? Apart from this, everything is just plain. So a couple of lines, this one, MetaMask, and the query parameters. Again, things are there in the WAGMI installation, and get started examples. Just follow along those. So out of these, then we work on the MetaMask, the page section. Again, we are doing MetaMask. I'll show you how we do. But what's the essence of this particular upgrade, and how we do the upgrade from EOA to smart accounts is through something called use send call, right? And use send call is a hook through WAGMI. So use send call is powered by WAGMI, and this is where it gives the it makes the batch transactions that you can make it in just one transactions. And if you've seen the previous send transactions, you would have to pass in a lot of details, but here you just pass on the couple of details. So what's happening here? So this is we are transferring 0.01 ETH to this address, and this again I'm doing another transaction, but you can do multiple things with this. But for simplicity, we are just doing two transactions and then batching it together and sending it through something called send calls. And this is the WAGMI hook of use send calls, which captures all of those details, and then we take the details through the we fetch the details through get call status. So I think by now all transaction would have proceeded. We'll check for the status of this data ID, and it says that the transaction is confirmed, right? And when you click, this example has everything, so I'll link it in the code. So, but the interesting thing that you see on this this transaction details is that it's interacting from my account to the same account, and that's the beauty. And the thing is that if you see this, it says that it's contract. As I was saying in previously, there are two types of accounts. One is the external loan accounts that is powered through private key that lives in the MetaMask extension. The other one is the MetaMask smart contract, which is this is what it shows, that this is a contract, smart contract, right? And also the beauty of this smart account is that you don't get a different address, right? And if you see in the transfer details that you see that I'm transferring 0.01 ETH from one address to the other, and again this address remains same, so same, but you can transfer it to different addresses as well. But and if you see in the details as well, you will see that this is powered by EIP 7702, right? So I'll pause here just to see what's happening, and if you guys have any questions about this particular upgrade. The one thing I would want to see is that show you is that for example, you may definitely not have this much, right? For example, ETH. So how do we go about? We do have a faucet here where you can come and just connect your MetaMask wallet and then request for the Sepolia ETH just to play around, right? So yeah, this is that talk which converted my account, the EOA, to something called smart account, which lets me do the batch transactions uh, all through the EOA account, right? And with the code, I think I'll paste it in the chats somewhere. Then I think Eden also said, like, if you guys have any deep understand, want to go deeper into the codes, like what's happening and behind the scene, happy to discuss those as well. But let me share this uh, ch- two links, and I'll just stop sharing and then I'll put it in the chat for you guys, so that you can see these repos and play along with these examples. And with this, I think we are about time that we should take more questions and make this more interactive.
Yes, one moment. I'm just sharing your links.
Perfect. And let me share my screen and just come to the last slide of this, which has a QR code which lets you go to builder.community.io, which is our community forum where you can ask any questions about MetaMask integrations if you have.
Shabazz, actually, we have two questions from the audience that is not particularly in relations to the code. They're more general questions. So,
Sure.
firstly,
That's why I've kept this as Q&A about my session and then AMA for anything that you want to ask.
perfect. So, first one is: do you think Web3 will replace Web2? It's a follow-up question from the initial slides about the Web 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so I won't say that it will replace Web 2, because all of this Web 3 ecosystem still uses Web 3 elements. For example, if you want to host some website or your dApp, you would still host it through a Web 2 provider. There would be a time, hopefully, that you could host everything completely on Web 3, and there are providers like IPFS that you can store some data, but that there is not yet the infrastructure. Maybe we can call 3.5 later once we have that structure and call it as Web 3.5. But as of now, all the tech that you see, all the Web 3 elements that you have, you still rely on Web 2 elements. Web 3 is not to replace Web 2, and that's why in the slides and even in the Ethereum website you will see that Web 2 started from 2004 till now. So what it's saying is that we still use the Web 2 standards, but we add Web 3 elements to it so that it feels very decentralized, it feels very welcome, and anyone can enter this. It's permissionless. You don't need anyone's permissions to participate in blockchain. But you still need to have the Web 2 infrastructure to run this Web 3, so yeah, I would just leave it at that. Maybe
All right.
Eden, if you want to add something.
Yeah, actually, I have a question, follow-up question to you. Uh, social media is a very big issue here with all privacy questions regarding it, and where all your data online is stored, and whether or not is it actually yours. It's a big question with social media. So, in Web3, can under some circumstances give a good solution to that. What do you think about that?
I think yes. I would not say that there are not good examples. We already have something called Farcaster, if you've
Yeah.
seen. So we have Farcaster, which is built on the Web3 standard, and it is basically a Web3 social media platform. There are like other Lens protocol, which does the same thing. But I would highly say that Farcaster is the best in terms of experience. So here again, it's again uses Web3, Web2 infrastructures to host a couple of things. But if you see in detail about Farcaster, how the the protocol, the gossip protocol is working, and how they are using data, like all the nodes are combined. So these guys have made social media completely decentralized. I won't say like the complete sense of like everything hosted there, but you just need a computer to get all the data from the first node of Farcaster, and you'll have this decentralized social media platforms where no one can just kick you out unless you do stupid stuff, promoting something which against the ethos of
No,
the humanity. But the basics, that no one is basically limiting you to own certain thing and own certain views. So I think that aspect is really really great of Farcaster. So if you haven't tried Farcaster, I would highly encourage to try out if you are not or if you are bored with the basic social media, for sure.
yeah.
It gives you more more control and more personalization to your decentralized web. And the cool part, I think Farcaster, I'm also a Farcaster contributor in a couple of sense. So I did some contribution to the documentation back in the days when there was something called frames, and now they have moved into something called mini apps. And this ecosystem is really it really has grown much. And now Farcaster have their own wallet and their own stuff. So like crazy stuff. Not It's not just a social media platform. The best thing about Farcaster, I will say, I can go on, but I'll just say that when you see on social media, let's say X or some other platform, that if you interact with this post, out of these, I'll give one ETH to somebody or one soul to somebody, right? And there is no guarantee to that. Like it needs to come from the poster or whoever has posted that they adhere to that principle. But with Farcaster and mini apps, one can build this smart contract that when you interact with this, you are guaranteed, if they say it's through the code, that once the time period is done, there will be some reward if you interact with that. So that gives more trust for people. If they say that, like, okay, if you interact with me, I may give you certain things, and it is powered through the smart contract. So this is the future of Web3, where whatever you say, it is backed with the code, and it's nothing just for the engagement farming, right? All those stuff. So that's what I like about Faka stuff.
That's that's great. Now another question, actually from the audience, is by Ariel. One moment, I'll put him on the stage.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Great. So the question is that I'm a full stack developer, and I'm considering to transition to the Web3 realm, let's just say. And I wanted to know, like, what topics do you think that I should start or learn, or where do you think that I should start from? Because sometimes, like, that's it. Like, what topics?
Interesting. Yes. So I think since you already have the core principles of building something to Web 2, right? Because you are a full stack developer, you know every tech how that
Mm-hmm.
works. I would highly encourage you to maybe try a couple of your previous code which you had and port it to something called Solidity. So Solidity is a programming language which governs basically the smart contract behavior. So there is solidity.lang. Let me put it in the chat. I highly encourage, like, if you just put one of your basic uh, basic code, like the Web 2, probably, let's say, I would say the any example that you have built it on Web 2, try porting it to Web 3 with the Web 3 standard. Learn from Solidity and see if you can port it that way. And that gives you the idea of like how the code works in Ethereum, and also gives you the idea what you can build more with the existing knowledge of Web 2. And this is one approach which you go full backend, where you build the smart contracts, read through the smart contract and see what you can build. The other way is to look at the front end aspect of it. Like, how do you basically connect the existing Web 2 apps, right? You may have a Web 2 project. and add a Web3 element to it. Let's say if I have logged into Google login, how do my Google login can have also Ethereum account associated with it? So there are something called embedded wallets. A lot of providers are there in the market, which does like what you when you log into Google to your website, log into Google, they not just log in through Google, but also gives you a Ethereum wallet address, also gives you a Solana wallet address. And as a user, no one need to know like what behind the scene there is blockchain interactions happening. And when you want to reward somebody, you just reward it to the Ethereum address, as the Ethereum is trustless. No one is there. It has its own native currencies. You can transfer some reward points directly to their wallet. So I would say go in these directions one at a time. Start from Solidity, and if you see that Solidity is something that you would love as a backend developer, if not, look at the front end aspect of it. If you already have a project, and just see if you can add Web3 element to this, that your login may also have Ethereum address, or just use MetaMask SDK or other injected providers, right? Which gives you a wallet address to your users. So I would say that is the first way to start.
And I have a follow-up question after hearing your answer. And like, does I don't know how to say it properly, but does
just ask.
when I'm starting to learn Solidity specifically, it sounds like I will only know EVM and Ethereum. So
Yes.
should I maybe try something else, or do you think this is the best path to start with, and from there I will know just enough stuff to move and transition to other Web3 topics?
So
or
I think it would be. I think I would give an example of mine, because how I started my programming journey is through Java, and then I learned JavaScript, and then I learned other programming, Rust, right, other programming language. So see, this is more just a programming language. So whichever language that you start with, either Solidity or Viper, even on Rust, like if you want to do on Solana, the core principles would remain same. There will be some advantages of like how they do it in different style, like for exactly like how you have something in Java and then you will port it to JavaScript. I would say it's same. Since Solidity has been there for a long time, it has a lot of resources that you can learn from. It's the easiest inclination to learn this first and see if this is for you, and if not, if as a backend, as a full stack developer, and if you already know Rust, you don't need to learn Solidity. You just learn Rust, and then just go into the Solana ecosystem, right? So it's up to how you want to onboard yourself. But learning one language doesn't it always helps to port to another mindset, basically. But Solidity has a lot of resources which you can learn from. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for asking your question.
All right. So I think we can move on with our session.
Okay, so I think that was the end of the overall session. If somebody has very detailed analysis, maybe I would love to come back, because I don't want to have this session as very in depth. Maybe what we can do is the next segment, because I want to also talk about something called multi-chain, how we do multi-chain and how it's powered through that. So Wagmi and MetaMask team is already working in that. So maybe in future, what we can come back and address this as the multi-chain narrative, and how we do just through the MetaMask. We can work with Solana, we can work with Ethereum, we can work with Bitcoin, and how that ecosystem would look like. I would say that would be a good point to see, and also I would say that.
All right. So let's see if there's any other question from the audience.
Okay. Oh yes, I remember one thing that I want to give more ideas about. Like, okay, so as a developer, how would you go about? and let's not end the session now. I'll have, I think, 5-10 minutes more that we can talk about. So okay, so you're good, and I think somebody from the audience has asked, like, how do I get started as a developer? Where do I start? Right, all those stuff. So all those learnings are good, right? But how do you test this into practice? So Ethereum ecosystem has something called ETH Global, and they run events and hackathons across the year. The next one is happening in Buenos Aires, where you can attend this hackathon and win great prizes. Like they have like bunch of prizes to give to people, and it is like Ethereum ecosystem is very welcoming in terms of like what they want to, very welcoming for anyone to try it out. So these are great examples where you can come hack around, hack on something that you want to do, and this is a good session, good project. If you have good project, you win. If not, you learn. So this is the idea. And also these hackathons also have workshops arranged through different speakers and sessions, that you can learn about certain things. And all those workshops and session is giving you a sneak peek and giving you a step by step on how you would integrate their product in your particular hack that you would do during this. So this is a really amazing project that you should participate. I think I've done a lot of events previously that I've participated on, a couple of things that I won. And the best thing is that it's not just about the money that you will win, but you get to learn a lot of stuff through this. The other cool website and project is through HackQuest. We also use HackQuest to do regular hackathons that we do. The currently this hackathon is running where we use like the MetaMask Smart Accounts and Monad Dev Cook-Off. So we call this Dev Cook-Off, where anyone can come and build something based on the criteria that we have put in, and you get to win prizes. And so this is a very good area where you can brush up your skills, learn more about Web3 and Web3 in general. Also, at the same time, you win, prizes.
All right, that's very cool. So in the meantime, we get some more questions from the other audience. So I have a few. Firstly, you mentioned an upcoming integration with Bitcoin. And yes, I thought you were only limited to EVMs. So
Yes, that's the myth that we want to break for anyone. And if you've not seen, while I was giving the screen share of my Ethereum MetaMask wallet, what you could see here is that not just the account has the Ethereum accounts, but it also has Solana accounts. And if you start new, you would also get an option. By default, you will get the Ethereum and Solana account. But let's say if I want to add a Solana account, you just simply say Solana account, and you have a Solana address. You can interact. So the Solana is already out with us. What I was mentioning more towards the SDK support through that would allow the Solana developers to get the same DevX that we have been offering for the Ethereum ecosystem. The Solana developers would still would get the best experience there. Bitcoin to follow on this as well.
All right. And do you think, or would you know whether or not smart accounts can exist on Bitcoin?
Yeah, that's something that we need to see, but I don't see any path that would allow that, the smart accounts, because that's what the foundation of Ethereum is, that the Bitcoin had just the the cryptocurrencies there. I think maybe there could be a possibility that allows it, but not to my knowledge that there is. So it's just the ledger just to do transactions. But if there would be definitely seeing how that works. But what I was saying is that from Ethereum, and I think use the similar understanding of an ethos of Bitcoin and then built Ethereum. and Bitcoin just had the cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin just transfer funds from one to another. What Ethereum did is that it added code logic to it, and it added smart contracts in this, which allows that you just don't do the basic transfers, but there are also code that governs certain logic when you do this, and that is what led to smart contracts and all those fun stuff that we see today.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So actually, I have one more question about you. So
Mhm.
I want to know how did you, like, before you joined the ecosystem? How did you how did you get drawn into it? Like, how did you hear about Web3
Mhm.
development? Like,
So yeah, I think this, I keep saying this in a couple of talks previously, but I'll reiterate this, that I have been very into the the privacy ecosystem, and that's why I know more into the Mosaic and the Mozilla Firefox, because I used to be one of the Mozilla representatives, which advocated for open web, open privacy, and all those good stuff, like how to be secure in Web2 and all those stuff. So I started my journey in the uni days just advocating for Mozilla, and then later on, Web3 has drawn when. And not just that, in uni days as well, I was into the cryptography, like the public private key pair, how this happens, the fun fact of you basically keep sign in with your private key, just give the public key out for people to verify all those stuff. And then I did Auth0 ambassador program as well, where we used to do a lot of JWT related talks, again similar on the security standards. Like we did a lot of talks about how to secure your website, and that, I think, before Auth0, there were things like, there were Google development kit, Facebook development kit, that you would integrate somebody, and then with Auth0, when it came, it just packaged everything together and just offered it as like one stop solution for all your authentication need. And while I was doing that, I got to know about a project called Magic Labs. And what they did is that like the authentication not just relied on the social logins, but also passwordless login. And those were the first ones, I would say. I think, at least to me, I saw on social media, that they have solved passwordless and they're using passwordless authentication to onboard people to Web3. And I was like, oh wow, this is so fascinating, like seeing the thing that you have been using, like the authentication system, now does not need the passphrases or the private keys. Because what if you lose your passkeys and passphrases? That's what I was implying to the passkey thing as well, because you need a backup where you at least have something to start with. Then I learned about that particular project, got to work with them, and then from there on, I've reading a lot of stuff about Web3. I think the Ethereum.org has a learn section which covers very extensively about how one can get started. The other cool project that I did just to learn Ethereum is the speedrun, Ethereum speedrun. If you search Ethereum speedrun, there is a gentleman called Austin Griffith, and he runs the speed runs. And when you go to any of the, I think, bigger Ethereum events, you will find Austin there talking about the speed run and how one can get started. So this is the fun project that one can get started. It not just starts from the basics, but it gives you the real picture of how the tokenization works, how the decentralized staking happens, all those great stuff. It lets you go into different journeys of game building, and it goes in beyond. Like, I think speedrun deserve all its own session. But this is how I started, and I got into the Web3 space. But yeah, and the fun fact is that in Web3, whoever I've interacted, everyone is very open to give and onboard you to certain things that you may not find it very easily. I had the opportunity to have great mentors here who had helped me with anything that I'm stuck with. And that's why I'm giving my handle to everybody here, that you can always reach out to me. And if you have any questions about Web3, feel free to reach out. I would definitely try to give you some directions, and if I cannot answer, I'll give you where you can find those answers and who would be the best person to loop you in. So yeah, and we do community calls like every month, so that is also another area where you can join and ask your questions and learn what we teach.
That's super interesting. I have four more questions from the audience.
Oh, awesome.
So first, I have how do you treat security in your development?
Personally, to me, security is the foremost, like what you think of, and the best thing, at least in the Ethereum ecosystem, is that most of the things is already battle tested. Like if you connect with the WAGMI or even MetaMask SDK, this has been already battle tested. A lot of the project already use it. So unless you build a new infrastructure, and if you're at that stage, then sure, security is something that you should focus. The first thing, there are good smart contract auditors who looks through the code and give you the audits of your code. And the best thing is, any project that comes out newly is has to have those auditors report, right? Because how would community know that nothing fishy is happening? So security is foremost for sure, especially in Ethereum ecosystem. This is very rigorous, and a lot of projects goes through those security audits. And this is like, if you're into smart contracts, if you know if you know how to read the code and you can understand, the security auditors is another company, sorry, the career growth that you can look into. That there is something called security auditors. You can go in that stream and just audit the smart contracts going out. So yeah, security is foremost.
All right. Second question. What do you think about changeable or upgradable contracts?
Sorry, what? Upgradable?
What do you think about upgradable contracts? Contract that you can upgrade. Like in general, how do you what's your
uh,
take?
I mean, my personal take is, I won't have need. I won't rely on a code which can be changed. That is what making the smart contract win for so long time. That once it's deployed, you cannot change and amend the basic logic. I think I've seen there are certain logic that you can do upgrade, but that has had less success in terms of getting the confidence from the ecosystem. Because why I say is that if you see a code, it's already audited, and you know that it's not going to change, right? So you completely rely on that. But also the upgradable contract, if it is in the form of upgrading the securities, adding more security features, that's great. There are some steps taken in that direction as well. But in general, it's not that I think that I would trust. But there are some attempts as well. So yeah, good question.
Thank you. Okay, so last one. What do you think about ZK movement on Ethereum?
Oh, I mean, ZK is I think the foundation of what led me to crypto, so I would say, because the passwordless login powered by Magic was through the ZK, tech. Because it's saying, I'll just summarize the ZK is that it's zero knowledge proof. What you say is that you don't have to reveal whole data, like full of your data, just to prove that you own certain things. So that aspect of privacy I really like. There are a lot of ZK EVMs as well coming in the market which does
Mhm.
this. Yes, they do take some amount of time to process, but I would say that that's the next step every Ethereum project should take. Because that gives you that ability to have more freedom in terms of who you are. You can express your things without revealing that what you do, but you can have you can show the proof that like you are what you say you are.
All right, that's a great answer.
And that's a good question. I don't know why, but somehow I feel that I've been drawn to the first Web3 project that I worked with, and it has started a lot of things from there. So
All right, and it's a good place to say that all links will be posted after we finish.
indeed, yes. And I think I'm in the Telegram chat as well with you guys. So if you have any questions, I'll be there. Feel free to tag me. I can give you more resources to look into. And yeah,
Okay, so I guess it's time to say thank you so much to you, Shabazz. It was a super interesting session. Um, very very new technology, and thank you for that.
yeah,
Uh,
thank you for inviting me, Eden, and the whole Web3 devs underground team. My like the goal of this session was to inspire people to read more and ask the questions. I'm no like I'm not that great, like I'll give everything in 1.5 hour session. I don't want to do that. I want to encourage people to ask questions. I want to encourage people to read more and point out the mistake that I've been doing. So feel free to tag me for any questions that you have, maybe things that I may have said wrong as well. You can point me that, because this is for me as well to learn from you, because it's not that I'm so great that I have every knowledge. I don't. I read every day, I learn every day, and I want to evolve every day. So I think this is what I want to say to everyone as well. There is no like always you can learn something. So yeah,
yes, every day you learn something new.
exactly.
All right. So, thank you again, Shabazz. And thank you to all the participants who joined us today. And please help us grow and follow us on X and other social media platforms, YouTube, and all that. See you at our next online meetup at October 22nd, exactly 1 week from now. We're gonna host in Symbol Codes. All the details will be available through our website at web3devs.org or on our Luma or Meetup calendars. If you want to take an active part in our community or speak at our next event, please let us know and reach out to us through our Telegram or website. And for those of you listening for the first time, we are Web3 Developers Underground community. We're all about top technical content, open source, no shilling, and all done by builders and for builders. So everything we do is always for free, reliable, and for the community. Thank you again for watching us today, and hope we will see you next time.
Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful day.